Good day. What you're about to see is the very first episode of And Having Played Ever. Now, this game was not chosen after months of deliberation. Rather, Aliens the Arcade game came to be the very first video game I ever really, truly reviewed, due to the fact that I found it in my main folder just kind of randomly. I was looking through there and I saw Aliens the Arcade game? I've never heard of this. I've never even seen it mentioned anywhere. And so, once I discovered that, I said, well, I want to make a review of it. And so, it just so happened that this would become my first scripted review. Now, this review is actually pretty good compared to many of my very early reviews, which I have a feeling no one has watched, and don't, they're crap. This is the first time I actually sat down and scripted everything I was going to do. This is the first time I actually went and recorded all the game footage prior to editing the review. It was quite a novel concept for the time. Also, this is the first review that I actually used my brand new HD camera with, and also this is the first review where I used my very new microphone. It was a simple headset mic, and you'll notice that a lot of my more standout reviews were done with this particular microphone. It wasn't until years after I started that I actually got the microphone I'm using now. So, let's take a look at this first review. Good day. Aliens is a franchise that has managed to spawn a large number of extremely good games. And that's mainly because Aliens itself is a franchise that really transfers well to the realm of games. Because at its most basic level, the movie Aliens was a shoot-'em-up. A number of Marines landed on LV-426 and shot up a bunch of aliens. There really wasn't much more to it than that. Of course, it's a lot more complicated, but you get the idea. Now, Konami is a game company that is well known for making shoot-'em-up style games, specifically the Contra series. So you would imagine that an Aliens game made by Konami would indeed be an awe-inspiring game. Well, let's take a look at it. The intro does its job rather well. The music is high tempo and really gets you ready to kill some aliens. And it shows pictures from the actual movie. And there's a few lines of text here and there, like 57 years later, or this time it's war. But what occurs during this title sequence is probably the most frightening utteration that I have ever heard.
Aliens.
And here we have the story. It is not accurate at all. The colony wasn't abandoned. The whole reason why they went there is because they lost contact with it. How do you lose contact with something you've abandoned? Now, when you start the game, you're going to notice several things. 1, it's a side-scroller. 2, you have a gun with auto-fire. And 3, you're gunning down xenomorphs. At this point, it doesn't really matter just how inaccurate the rest of the game is, because it's already awesome. Because in an Aliens game, all you really want to do is gun down hordes and hordes of xenomorphs. And this game does this really well. However, after a few moments, you are going to notice that it is oddly familiar to another game made by Konami. That's right. This game is a bloody, unabashed Contra clone. But that's not really a bad thing, and in fact, it actually improves on it in some respects. For one, you get multiple hits, and for another, you get a gun with autofire, both of which weren't in Contra. Now, of course, after you play it for a little while longer, you're going to notice the absolutely barmy color palette. You've got purple aliens, green facehuggers, and my God, look at Ripley! She looks like Laura Petty from Tank Girl!
Just shoot me now, please.
I mean, look at her. She's got blonde hair. I mean, how did they get that? She clearly had brown hair. How do you get blonde from brown? The rest of her clothes are actually accurate, right down to the ugly red and white shoes. Although she wasn't dressed in this manner until late in the movie. Now look at Newt. At least they got her hair right. But still, when did she ever wear a bright green and red outfit? And when did she ever carry a plush rabbit? And then, where did Ripley get a smart gun? She never used one in the movie. All she ever used was a pulse rifle and a flamethrower. Also, where are the Bloody Marines? She was only supposed to be the consultant. She wasn't actually supposed to fight anything. Ah well, all of that's inconsequential. The game itself has good controls and good hit detection. If you shoot at something, it's quite likely going to die.
and you can move wherever you want to, but you can't jump, although you can crouch, but it's a bit cumbersome because you have to actually hold down a button. You can't just hold the joystick down to crouch. The music is somewhat Genesis-y, in that it has sort of a metallic twang to it. It's rather hard to explain. So here's a comparison with a Genesis game. Overall, none of the tracks are all that memorable, but it does do the job of firing you up, and it makes killing xenomorphs that much more enjoyable. In addition to the side-scrolling stages, there are 2 driving stages. Well, it looks like the Marines are still alive, and the APC hasn't been destroyed, and they apparently really want to save ammo, so they have your ass out on the roof, and not only that, they decide to take away your bloody auto-fire. Now, in both driving stages, you have to rescue Newt. My first question is, how the hell did she get out there? Look, she was right bloody there! What, can she use force speed or something? Ugh. The driving stages are similar to the hallway stages in Contra. They're terrible. They're nowhere near as fun as the side-scrolling ones. Thankfully, there are just 2 of them. Your weapons are fairly basic. You have your default smart gun that you will be dealing out most of your punishment with. You then have some type of rocket launcher that was never seen in the movie or expanded universe. Then you've got your flamethrower that lets you flame boil the bloody Xenos. And then of course you get some weird plasma flamethrower thing that fires in 3 directions. It wasn't in the movie, nor was it ever mentioned anywhere else in the expanded universe outside of this game. And yes, you get to cause all kinds of carnage with the power loop. And as if you needed more proof that this is a Contra clone, the bloody continue screen is identical to the one in Contra. In a word, the bosses are just weird. Case in point, the first boss that you come to is a phallic alien. Oh good god, its head is erecting to attack! And then, after you cut off its head, I suppose, it starts firing these weird globular projectiles. I don't even want to know what those things are. Moving on. The next boss is a little more mundane. It's a ball alien. I recall something similar being mentioned in the novel Aliens: The DNA War. As its name suggests, its main attack is curling up in a ball and trying to run you down. It also has a secondary attack wherein it tries to kill you by firing cotton balls. These can be avoided rather simply by ducking under them. Here's the third boss. Look familiar? I don't know what this 4th boss is supposed to be, but it reminds me a little of the brain bug from Starship Troopers. I'd like to know what those bloody projectiles it's firing out. Metroids, perhaps? Oh, and quail in terror at the frog aliens! I think by this point, they were really strapped for ideas. At least they didn't have any lamp aliens or gerbil aliens. Oh, I guess I stand corrected. I really don't know how this would be possible. It's certainly never mentioned. But I guess here, you've got electric aliens. They fire out electric projectiles and move really fast. Well, I guess there really were lamp aliens after all. And as you would expect, the final boss is the Queen. I won't spoil it for you. Alright, let's take a look at the enemies. Now, it should come to no surprise that the main enemy of the game is the drone alien. Now, what is surprising is the fact that they come in a whole plethora of colors. You've got the purple ones, you got the red ones, and you also get some brown ones. And unlike in the movie, they're fairly easy to kill. They just run at you and you just slaughter them. You also get a wide variety of other alien types to kill. You get the flying head alien, and you get the flying alien. Now, to be fair, the flying alien was seen in the book Aliens Earth Hive, and it was cool there, and it's pretty cool here, except that here it's a putrid green color. You also get to fight a number of humans, which is not that inaccurate, because in the alien novels, some humans did serve the various queens when the aliens overran the Earth. Although why they're using Lewis guns, I couldn't really say. I guess they were just easy to fabricate. Also, these zombified humans were not actually seen in the movie at all. In fact, in the novels, they weren't zombies, they were just taken over by the Queen's psionic powers. Yeah, it's a long story. Essentially, the alien queens control all the drones through a psychic link. That's how they basically talk to one another. And some queens that are more powerful than others can subvert the wills of weak-willed humans. That basically makes them do what they want them to do, like gather hosts or things like that. Really, none of these enemies were in the movie. The drones were, but they certainly weren't multicolored. But they do serve to make the gameplay far more interesting, as it would get pretty boring killing the same enemy type over and over again.
As an Aliens game, it's highly inaccurate. As a Contra clone, it's average. But as an Aliens game and a Contra clone, it's awesome. You get to run around slaughtering hundreds of aliens while vaguely resembling Ellen Ripley. You use some weapons that were in the movie and some that were just made up on the spot. You fight a variety of different enemies that vaguely resemble aliens. But above it all, it's a run-and-gun game with aliens. Or, even simpler, it's Contra with aliens. And that's not bad. Now, it's a short game. You can only get about maybe 30-40 minutes of gameplay out of it before you beat it. I suppose if you were limited to just a couple of quarters, it would take considerably longer, but let's face it, nobody actually owns that arcade cabinet. Now, overall, it's not the best Aliens game ever made, but it's certainly one of the good ones. Now, for next time, I am going to be reviewing Alien vs. Predator, the arcade game. But for now, this is General Lotz, wishing you good Alien DS, good Alien vs. Predator on Super Nintendo, or whatever makes you happy.